Soto and Chad here, and welcome to episode one of our 200 movie challenge. Now, you may be asking yourselves, what is the 200 movie challenge? So, first of all, for those who don't know us, we met at a Blockbuster video many years ago, and we love watching movies.
Hmm.
So, we used to watch so many movies. We got free rentals all the time. We
So
watched the
many.
good, the bad,
Hmm.
and the utter shit.
Yes. And sometimes in the theater. Yeah.
Yes, that too. But since we've left Blockbuster and even in our later years, we have not obviously watched as much. I know the ongoing joke was I haven't watched a lot of movies, but you threw out a comment a while ago that your goal for 2025 was to watch 100 new movies, movies that you have not seen. Why did you feel you wanted to put that challenge on yourself?
Yeah. I started to look. Obviously, we talked about we both have letterboxd accounts, and as you remember, we had this conversation. A friend of mine had asked me. Um, he was just spending the night, didn't have anything to watch, and he was like, "Top movie right now, or favorite movie, go." And I just drew a blank. I couldn't think. I texted you. I texted Sarah, obviously, and I was trying to, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, I feel so disconnected from movies, which is something I used to watch all the time. And it could be because, as romantic as we look at Blockbuster right now, I didn't really like working there. So when I quit, I kind of had this whole thing of like, not really interested in movies anymore. But then I turn around and so many years have gone by and I've missed so many new movies. And as we've done Rotten Taste and other things, and I've joked about it with you, and I make fun of you about what new movies you've seen. I realize that I have not seen any new movies, and if I do, it's like ones I've already seen, and that's great. There's a place for that. But I had not seen any of the major like hits or anything at all in many years. And as my letterbox, sort of the records that I had going, as it went on closer to the year 2020, it just went down and down and down. So I was like, okay, I've got to rectify this, and I think that I can commit to at least two movies a week. And so that's why I want to do the 100 movie challenge, and I think that's how I presented to you, and then you piggybacked on it and you wanted to do it as well.
So yes, I figured I could double down on this, and I'm like, why not make this a series? So the goal is, like you said, is to watch 200 movies that we have not seen by the end of the
Scene.
year. So
Hmm.
each episode will be whatever, however many movies that we've seen in between. We're going to discuss it, and we're going to kind of rank them. Not maybe say first, but kind of put them in order. So at the end of the year, because I believe we can hit our goal, but at the end of the year, we're going to look back on our list and be like, why was this your number one? Why was this your
Hmm.
last one? And maybe poke fun at some movies in between. So, and it'll be a fun little ranking system to see and help us keep track of things throughout the year. So yes, I figured
Yeah.
I will double down. I too will watch at least 100 movies this year. So yes, we are doing the 200 movie challenge, and you know what? We're just going to get things kind of started, Soto. I'm going to start things off with you. And you're going to have the first movie. So tell me, what was the very first movie that you saw to start off this challenge?
So the first movie that I saw, because I hate myself, is Oppenheimer. Now, one of the things I like about choosing a movie to watch is whether or not it's free. And so Oppenheimer is free. Uh, Many times I've discussed that I hate that movies go over an hour and a half. So I really had no idea why I was all of a sudden going to watch a 3 hour movie because nothing is worse for me. We've talked about Dune and those two parts and how awful those were, but I wanted to see something that I had heard was big. What? This won a few Oscars, right? And
This
pardon
won
my
Best Picture
ignorance, but
last year, 2024 Best Picture.
I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that. It did not even go into my thinking as far as like trying to watch a movie. I just wanted to watch something that I hadn't seen that was relatively new. I thought this came out 2 fucking years ago. This was last year?
Yes, this was last year.
Wow. Okay, so I this was last year. All right. So I just wanted to see something. I like Killian Murphy. I said fuck it. It was New Year's Day. I didn't really have a lot going on. So I said, okay, I've got the morning. I'll spend 3 hours watching Oppenheimer. That's what went into the thinking. So, yeah.
Now I agree with you. I do like Cillian Murphy. I also like Christopher Nolan. I liked a lot of stuff that he's done. So
Ah,
I have not seen this myself. This might appear later down the road for me because this is like I am curious about this movie. I try to see a lot of movies that have won Best Picture, and that might come,
I didn't even know that.
yeah, down the road as far as what I might watch. But yeah, so this one I was surprised that you mentioned that this was your first film because. Not this is from my understanding a great film, obviously because it won Best Picture, but a lot of audience people loved it too.
Uh,
I don't know. I'm just saying a good film. Anyhow, but for you to start off with a movie this long, I was like, damn, because sometimes
yeah,
you like that quick 90-minute, not
I
under
do.
2 hours. You're like, hey,
I like
simple
to get in
watch,
and out.
in and out. This is
You know,
not an in and out movie, but yeah.
no.
So
I'm,
real quick, did you like it? Did you,
yeah,
quick thoughts?
yeah. It's extremely well done. I don't share your enthusiasm for Christopher Nolan. I do like Inception. The Dark Knight to me, I don't like. It's whatever to me. Christian Bale is the worst fucking like Batman. I think we've discussed this on previous episodes. But overall, this is excellently shot. It's well done. It's well acted. It looks fantastic. Interesting historical wise. Yeah, I'm iffy on biographical stuff. It's a great movie. Everything is in. And by great movie, I mean it's well done. It's well executed. Excellent cinematography. There is nothing wrong with this movie. I will never see it again. I will never see this movie again. I don't want to. I've seen it. It said what it needed to say, and it's out. That's nothing against it. I've watched many great movies that I know I will never watch again. This is one of those. It was awesome. I mean, again, well shot. I expected more. It was, but yeah, it was good. It deserves Best Picture. If nothing else was going against it, I don't know what the competition was,
I will
but
tell you right now, the big competition was Barbie because if you remember correctly, this came out the same summer. That was a joke. People were seeing this and Barbie on the same night, but that's might be a story for a
oh,
different time.
Barbenheimer. I do remember that.
Yes,
Yeah. Maybe I
yes,
will see
yes.
Barbie next.
And it's
And
free.
yeah,
Barbie is actually on my list for down the road. Jill actually kind of wants to see it too, so I that's why I
I
waited
will
on it. But
probably
I
check
just
it out.
tease. Yes, it is free, but I do like Christopher
Yeah.
Nolan. I loved Inception. Memento has always been one of my favorite films.
Oh my God, I forgot he
Following,
directed that.
yeah, a lot of people do, and I know you're not
Because
a
it's
big
so
fan of Dark
long
Knight.
ago.
It is, but you know what? He is good. But yes, this might I might watch this down the road. I did not watch this. I've not watched this yet. But I agree with you. This kind of
It's
look
worth a
this
watch.
it's worth it. A one time
It's
watch,
worth a watch.
one
It's
time
worth a
watch.
watch. It's 3 hours. Again, there's nothing in this movie that I'm gonna remember for the rest of my life. It's fine. It's serviceable. If you're into history movies, you're gonna like it. I just again this it said everything you need to say, and that's that for Oppenheimer.
So, the funny thing is now this is the first movie that you watch. So, if we go real quickly to our pencil and pad, or pad and paper here, what pencil and paper,
Yeah.
excuse me, hey, look at that, number one. Let's see how long it takes for Oppenheimer to be your number one,
Yeah.
But yeah, so Soto's 2025 movies right now, Oppenheimer, number one there. But
Oppenheimer. Yes.
Soto, you did watch a second movie for today's episode.
I sure
What was
did.
your second movie that you watched?
So I said to myself, I think that this movie is not long enough. And it's too new. So I decided to go all the way back to 1962 and watch an almost 4 hour movie uh, introducing Peter O'Toole. And that movie is, of course, Lawrence of Arabia. And yeah, I'd always, this is a movie that's been adjacent to me for a very long time. I like old movies. There was always screenings when I went to school of this in 70 millimeter. And obviously 70 millimeter is like the equivalent of like 8K back in the day. So I want to see it. It was free. Well, free for me based on my subscriptions, but it was a free movie. And I said, fuck it. I'm going to go all the way back to 1962. And I watched Lawrence of Arabia, and yeah, that was half my day. It felt like half my day. So I've gone completely against everything I believe in with movies with my first two movies of this year, and have watched the longest fucking movies that I could probably choose.
And it's funny because this actually won in 1963, because you're right, this came out in 62, but this won 7 Academy Awards and also won Best Picture. So you've
What?
done, yes, this was also a Best
Are you
Picture
kidding
winner.
me?
I'm not. I laughed because I went, that you selected two Best Picture winners because I'm thinking I might go through it because again, this is a movie I
Oh
have
my
not seen.
God.
I don't know if I'm gonna do this for the challenge just because, like you said, 4 hours, but I could probably split it up. I actually own it because I used to collect Best
That's what
Pictures,
I'm
and I'm
saying. I
looking.
was like, don't you own all the best pictures?
Yes, and some of them are still wrapped. Some of them are still sealed. But that's
So
a
you have
story.
this?
I have this. I have this. But anyhow, you've chosen now
Wow.
two Best Pictures.
Oh my
Uh,
God.
so I had to
Not on
laugh at that.
purpose. Not on
Not on
purpose,
purpose, and
everyone.
not just two Best Pictures. So the two movies that are well over 2 hours long. Like you could
I
have done
know. I
so
hate
much,
myself.
but so yeah, no. Again, I've heard a lot of great things about this. Again, I have not seen
Yeah.
this, so who knows if down the road this will appear on my list. But overall, what were your thoughts on this? Like, I mean, obviously
Yeah.
you went from something brand new, and now you've done something old. Did you enjoy this?
I enjoyed the shit out of this. This is one of the most gorgeously shot movies that I have ever seen. It's funny. Both of these movies are actually incredibly beautiful to look at. Lawrence Arabia, though, I mean, there is no CG in this. No special effects. There might be some set effects and things like that, but overall, this was absolutely gorgeous. You could see in the print that I saw, you could see the sand glistening in the desert. Peter O'Toole is great in this. Um, I didn't expect the storyline to be as kind of complex as it was, as it ended up being. I mean, I guess it's going to go that way when the movie's almost 4 hours. Um, I thought it would be much more of an epic, and then it kind of goes down in scale like as the movie goes on. But it still maintains. This is absolutely like pure cinema. It's wonderful to watch. I enjoyed it. Again, super long. If you're watching this in a movie theater back in the 60s and you had an intermission and you could have a cigarette, maybe a beer, it would make this probably more palatable, especially seeing it on a really, really big screen. Um, but overall, like I thought that this was just a complete masterpiece, work of art. It does not surprise me that it's Best Picture. It's kind of funny because did not expect. That's not why I chose it. I just chose it because I chose it because I've been meaning to watch this. Like we talk about movies that you should have seen by now, and this is one of those movies that for me it's like I felt like I should have seen this movie by now. And so with the opportunity to watch 100 new movies, I said fuck it, it's there. I'm gonna watch it and see what it says. And yeah, I enjoyed the shit out of it.
So now, sort of the main question is, since this is your second film, would you rank this higher or lower than Oppenheimer?
Oh, higher. I have to. I have
Quick,
to.
quick
It's
reasons
I
why.
have to. Just I mean, it's just Lawrence Arabia is a work of art. It is just beautiful to look at. It's all whatchamacallit, practical, practical effects. It's just great story. It's sweeping. I just love the performances in that. And Oppenheimer. I mean, it's funny because they're both kind of actually biographical. Oppenheimer is just kind of like, okay, yeah, this happens, this happens, this happens. Yep, there's some character development, all that stuff, but it didn't have an emotional impact for me as much as Lawrence of Arabia did. I mean, Lawrence of Arabia was just I was filled with like just such like awe and joy of how beautiful it was. And Oppenheimer, I understood that it was beautiful, but I didn't feel any sort of emotional connection. So for me, Lawrence Arabia just it's just a no-brainer.
Interesting. Again, two movies that I'm probably going to see somewhere. Don't know if I'll get to them this year, but definitely on my list. So, but yeah, those are your two movies this week. Soto, now since we're going to my movies, I know you kind of know this, but surprisingly, I actually watched four this week. I watched
Blew my
four.
mind.
Well, there. I'm going to explain each one. I kind of laughed that I even got to four. I kind of joked with you that I kind of wanted to bank some early, just because I know there's going to be weeks that I'm probably not going to be able to watch as many. I'm like, listen, I got time. I got nothing else going on. So let's watch some films. But anyhow, like you, New Year's Day, I was off of work. And the funny thing is, the first movie I chose is because on New Year's Eve, Jill and I were staying up and we put on Peacock just to, watch the ball. A little tradition. Like we didn't watch the whole thing. We just watch it drop. I went to bed 5 minutes afterwards. But as I was on Peacock,
10 for me.
yeah, it did not take me long. But anyhow, when I was there, weirdly enough, you know how they have like suggested for you. And I saw the movie Clerks III. And I'm like, holy shit. I kind of forgot that this existed. So on New Year's Day, for my first film, I'm like, I got to watch Clerks 3 because I
Yeah.
love the first Clerks film. I think it's whether people may hate or love Kevin Smith, but to me, the first Clerks was like the true definition of independent films in the 90s. I know we're both
Yes.
Tarantino fans. I would consider, Pulp Fiction, I know it's technically an independent film, but it very had that big studio feel to
It
it.
was around that time. It was
Yeah,
around that time.
but
Same vibe.
Clerks is a black and white, just the low budget. To me, that was a lot more of the independent films, and I love the first film. The second film, I did like. I did not enjoy as much. I know, like the original movies, they
I
wanted
didn't
to
see
end
the
it at
second one.
Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. That was kind of the end of like this New Jersey stories. But he brought back the Clerks characters. I felt the third one was a great conclusion to these characters. Actually, I felt like this is the right way
Really?
to go. And so I gotta say something. I'm watching this and I'm laughing. I enjoy it. Again, I enjoy a lot of Kevin Smith stuff. If me and you never got married, this would be our lives. I swear to God, this would be to a point because
I
A,
wouldn't be surprised.
think about it. A, they're making fun of customers. They're working with their best friends, and that'd be us. B, tell me we would not have just said, fuck it, let's open our own video store, and just do our own independent thing. This is ours. Uh,
Yeah.
we're not one for dick jokes. We don't tell a lot. So that might have been the only difference. But overall, I'm just laughing. But I don't know if you know the premise. The quick premise of the story is Randall has a heart attack and he wants to write a movie about his life because he's like, I can write movies. I've watched a lot of movies. I can do better. And in a weird meta kind of way, he is writing the first Clerks. It is fucking brilliant.
That's
But
kind of funny,
overall,
actually.
it is. I enjoyed it. I do. Like I said, I love the first one. So I actually love this a lot. I thought this was just the storytelling, and Kevin Smith has a way. I don't think he's a great director. I just think
Hmm.
he's a great writer. You don't see many, like you mentioned, Christopher Nolan. You don't see great shots. You don't see great set pieces. It's very
Oh, God,
simplistic in
no.
the way Kevin Smith does
Yeah.
it. I think my friend joked with Chase and Amy, the only interesting shot he had is they were throwing darts at the camera while they were playing darts. So you don't see a lot of style in Kevin Smith's films, but what you do see is great character work. And
Yeah.
again, this was just, and it brings back, and they call it what, a legacy sequel or sequel legacy. I don't, whatever that term is, because they bring back a lot of the characters from the first Clerks that have not been in any of the movies since. So
Hmm.
again, like I said, personally, I just felt this was a great conclusion, and I enjoyed this film. I do enjoy. Like I said, I love the first Clerks film. I actually might go back and watch the first Clerks again, rewatching this. I don't remember too much about the second one, but again, I love this movie. So I actually suggest if you get a chance to see this, I don't know if you saw the second one. I think you should check this out. I think you'll actually enjoy it.
Wasn't like Rosario Dawson in the second one?
She is, and she actually is kind of cameo. She's in the third one as well. Not as much
Okay.
as the second one, but she is in this one. Yeah, she was Dante's love
Yeah.
interest in the second one.
I mean, the
But
concept sounds hilarious. I mean,
oh,
I
it's
know
great.
obviously Kevin Smith went through a pretty massive heart attack. So the fact that Dante's writing a script that it ends up being
No,
referential to
it's
the
not
first one
Dante
sounds
writing the
interesting.
script. It's Randall, the
Oh,
backwards hat guy.
Randall.
He has the heart
Gotcha.
attack. Randall's the one that does it. And yeah, so they own the Quickie Mark now. They put up their own money they own that store. So that's why it's kind of like I said, very meta. But yes, he's writing a script about the customers that have come in, how they made fun of the conversations they had. So in a weird, again, meta kind of way, he's writing
That's
parts of the
funny.
first Clerks, but making it as a movie. So yes, Randall, the tall guy with the hat, he's the one that's how it starts off. He kind of has a heart attack and he's looking back on his life like, what have I done with my life? And that's why he's like, I've watched lots of movies. I can write a movie. And I'm like, shit, me and Soda would have done that. We would have opened our own story. We were like, yes, this is our miserable lives, but I'm here with my best friend. This is the fuck what we're doing. So, again, I honestly, like I said, I think you should check it out. It is free. And I know that's kind of like the primary reason we watch a lot of these, but I enjoyed it.
I
So,
like free. I like free. I
so
mean, the original Clerks was like, it made it. It was like the first movie that made it like seem like anybody could make a movie.
Correct.
And that's not discounting, what Kevin Smith did. You could feel however you want about Kevin Smith. I like Dogma. That's one of my favorite
Oh
ones
God, that's a
too.
great movie.
It's probably his most like commercially like acceptable. Like if I watch Dogma, I'm like, this is a good movie. Like it's well done, it's well shot. Not Christopher Nolan style, but you watch it, it's epic.
Yeah,
And it's a very well done movie, and it's a great part of his career. And so when I was younger, I used to shit a lot on. When I was younger in film school, I used to shit a lot on Kevin Smith and be like, this guy's a hack and he's a terrible director. But as I've gotten older, it's like you come to appreciate it. It's like, it's all about loving the movies, and you can see it in these movies. I love Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. They used to be one of my favorite movies to watch. So I'll definitely give this one a check. That's for
yeah.
sure.
No, I was a big Kevin Smith fan up until Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I know he did other things that I wasn't a fan of. I loved Mallrats. I love Chasing Amy. Like I
Mallrats
did.
is
I
hilarious,
love
dude. That's one of
Dogma
my
as
favorite
well.
movies of all time.
I love a lot of those movies. But yes, like I said, Clerks 3. Like I said, I kind of forgot this existed, but when I saw that, I'm like, oh yeah, I had to watch it. Obviously, this is my first movie, so it's not much on my list. So this is obviously top.
Clerks 3.
Clerks 3. Who would have thought? So the funny thing is, later on New Year's Day, I was like, I still had time, like, and I'm kind of going through, and I went to actually, on Disney Plus, and I saw this documentary, Jim Henson's Idea Man, and I'm
Hmm.
like, I'm very curious about this, and so I absolutely love this. I grew up a Jim Henson fan. I grew up on
Yeah,
Sesame Street. I grew up on the Muppets. We've talked about the Dark Crystal. We talked about
many
Labyrinth,
times.
Fraggle Rock,
Yes.
and
Oh,
I was
Fraggle
like,
Rock, love it.
this whole thing is my childhood. Like sometimes I forget how much Jim Henson's characters influenced me. And so I'm like, I gotta check this out. And this was a great story about how he got started in TV. He didn't even start as a puppeteer. He just wanted to get into TV. They were looking for puppeteers. He came with his own puppets, and he morphed into it because he
What?
had all these ideas. Yes, I'm dead serious. It also goes in personal story how he met his wife. Again, puppeteers, and just so it's a great mix of like the stuff he did that influenced our lives, especially people in our age group, and just the shit he was going through behind the scenes with his family. Like you felt so bad for Jim Henson, but overall, rewatching this, and they're showing clips, old clips that I remember. I felt so nostalgic. I felt like a kid again. Like they showed how he started the Muppet Show and the Muppets, and like I got goosebumps hearing that. When they talked about Dark Crystal, I did. They said, yeah, some of the studio execs didn't like the idea because obviously we've talked about this, the darker tones to it, but it was a story he wanted to tell, and it actually made some money, so they were fine. I didn't realize Labyrinth was actually a commercial disappointment. It didn't. Rentals is where it made its money, but in theaters it bombed. And I'm like, oh my god,
I could see that.
I love Labyrinth, but it's because he was always willing to take the chances. He wanted to tell the stories that he saw.
Hmm.
So yeah, so watching this, I just it was like reliving my childhood. Soto again.
Oh,
I
wow.
mentioned all that. I rewatched how he got started in Sesame Street because he didn't. All he did for Sesame Street was the puppets. Like he didn't want anything more to do. He's like he basically almost worked for free. He's like I'm fine with this. But it helped
Hmm.
him get to the Muppet Show. It helped him be able to create more. But it's kind of sad to you see what his life was like because it shows how he met Frank Oz because it started with him and his wife. Then his wife got out
Hmm.
of the business to raise their 4 kids, and so that
Damn.
part is kind of
Four
sad
kids.
too. Yeah, and a lot of them are in the business in different areas. One of them kind of continues puppeteering. I think one of them kind of does more like the accounting and shit. Like studio execs.
Hmm.
But yeah, so it's weird for me to say a documentary, but this documentary was so freaking good. Anyone that loved anything Jim Henson, I have to say, needs to watch this. This was so amazing. This was an amazing story
Nice.
just about a man's life. Because I'll be honest, outside of his work, I really did not know much about him. And like I
Hmm.
watched this, and it was well done, Soto.
Nice. And you saw this? This is available on.
Disney Plus. I saw this on Disney. It's one
Nice.
of the subscriptions I had. So yes, it was free. I was kind of just flipping off. I kind of thought I was going to go Marvel for a sec, and again, this popped up, and
Oh.
I was like, well, it happens. I'm like, do I want to watch this? And I was trying to find a second movie that I might have missed. Or a Star Wars thing because I know last year you talked about Solo a little bit.
I did. I saw it. Yep.
But when this popped up, I'm like, I need to see this. But yeah, Soto, anyone that has grown up on anything Jim Henson needs to watch this. But the question is, then I'm looking, I'm ranking, I'm like, God, is this better than Clerks 3? Because it's weird, because you got this, silly comedy,
Interesting.
great
Interesting.
documentary. But I think
Yeah.
the nostalgia one, and this was actually really good. I actually put Jim Henson's Idea Man above Clerks
Wow.
3. Because again, Clerks 3, though not, like I said, better than the second one, not as good as the first, made me laugh again, and I know my age group. Like if my daughter might have, her age group see Jim Henson Idea Man, she won't feel the nostalgia for it because she didn't grow up on a lot of these things like I did. So I know
Mm-hmm.
that has a little bit, little bit to do with why I put it number one, or at least above
Hey,
Clerks
it's
3.
huge.
Um,
Yeah.
so yes, but for those who did grow up on Sesame Street, The Muppets, anything Jim Henson, and it's good. It's a good, you just learn so much about this man who had so much influence on our childhood and what
Yeah.
all these ideas he had about TV and business. Like he was he was just brilliant. He wasn't just funny. He was brilliant. But yeah, I again, if you get a chance, I would say, take a look, especially if you grew up on the Muppets. So,
I
but
sure did. Wow. Okay. I didn't even know this existed.
I
And it's
neither did
better than
I.
Clerks 3.
In my opinion, I get why some people might. Again, documentaries are tough. They're hit or miss. And again, like I said, not everyone grew up on Jim Henson, so some people
Mm-hmm.
might not like it. But like I said, I did, and I think because that nostalgia feel. Every time they showed something new that he did, I literally like goosebumps. I was back as my childhood. Um,
Wow.
so
I know he
Soto,
passed away early, from what I understand. I mean, he
yeah,
wasn't.
he was in
I
his
didn't know,
40s, I
but
think, 40s, 50s. I don't know exactly when he passed away.
oh,
Like I'm gonna,
yeah.
but yes, he unfortunately passed away. But his kids, um, yeah, like I said, he passed away in 1990. So if
Okay.
a
Yep.
quick 54, he was 54 when he passed, or
That's
almost,
young.
or
Yeah.
53. He was almost 54, based on birthdays. So yeah, no, he passed away young. But yes, this was
Wow.
it's definitely worth checking out. So I don't know. Later
Cool.
on, I had a little time and I was looking for, I'll be honest, my next movie, I was just looking for a 90-minute whatever. Um, so I went to Tubi because, when we want something very classy and short, I'm like, let me find
Yeah.
some shit on Tubi. And I
Oh
was like,
my God.
let me find a horror film. And I saw this movie, or at least the poster, and it came out, I think, in 2012, 2013. It was an R-rated horror. I'm like, all right, let me just see if I stick with it. But I did. I watched this movie called Under the Bed. Um,
What the
yeah,
fuck?
this is a horror movie, Soto. I'm gonna
What?
be honest.
Is this the picture that made you watch it? What
No,
what
no,
made
no,
you
no.
decide to watch this?
This might have been the. Well, again, I'll be honest. I went for 90 minutes, and this popped up. It was R. But Soto, this movie took so long to get to anything good. Like I'm an hour in, and I'm like, has
An
anything
hour.
R-rated even happened? And like I knew it was now the quick premise of this, because I don't want to talk about this, because this Soto was a shit movie. Two brothers, they're kind of the main story. The older one kind of comes back. He was sent away for a while because people thought he was going crazy because he was seeing monsters, but they didn't know. Hence this thing
Hmm.
under the bed. But now the younger
Hence what
brother,
thing under the bed? The monster?
I don't know what else to explain it. Just Soto,
Okay. All right. All right.
don't I
Okay.
can't,
All right.
if
No
you
rotten
over
taste. No
explain
rotten
this.
taste.
No, this is I wouldn't even want to do this for our taste. But anyhow, the younger brother is having he was seeing the same thing, so they were like, "Listen, we're brothers. We're going to defeat this thing," and there is no
What?
there's no disposition to this. There's no reasoning. Like things just happened. I like,
Oh
all
my
right,
God.
I
We've
get
seen
it.
so many movies like that.
But you know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna
Yes.
give me a reason, at least stick with it. Like the stepmom, but like the new stepmom doesn't like, it's like nothing
Yeah.
made sense, and they're trying to tie things
Oh, I
together
love it.
because the monster came out and attacked the younger brother. They thought it was the older brother. Like, so the first beginning it was like, is this in his head? That was kind of where they're going for. Now I will admit, when the monster finally appeared, and I'm just calling the monster because no one knows what it is. There is no explanation to what it is. It just
What does it
lives
look
under the bed.
like?
A human something stupid. I'm serious, Soda.
A
This dude,
human
it's
something
something
stupid. That's
stupid.
the name of my next fucking rock band.
It should be. Um,
A human something stupid
it, it,
malperforming.
it was so, dude. So anyhow, when this came out, because they were sleeping over like the neighbor's house because they're like, listen, you kids need sleep. Maybe nothing will happen there. But when the monster came out and finally did a couple kills, like I will
Okay.
admit, because they didn't
And
use
how would
CGI.
you?
The kills were fucking amazing. Like that was the best part. Like
Nice.
I was like, oh shit! Like I was like amazed. Like this shitty movie has some fantastic kills, and that was it. And because I know you're never going to
Fantastic
see
kills.
this, so the demon's
I
out,
know.
kills their dad. The stepmom finally believes them. They still have the mom's ashes. The younger brother's like, mom's ashes, and he throws the mom's ashes dead ashes at the monster, and the monster explodes. I don't know why, Soto. I don't know why. Like I'm trying to figure
What?
out. Exactly. There is no reason. There's no explanation. They didn't discover. Like they did not read a book. Like, oh, this is how we. They just said throw the ashes, and that's how this whole movie went. They just kind of threw whatever. It was like these young actors, like hey, I'm looking cool. Like there's a neighbor that was his age, this guy's age, and like there's that kind of love
Somebody made
story,
this
but
movie.
nothing went with it. Like at the end, they hugged each other. Why? I don't know even know why. There is no love story to this, but they're like, yes, they love each other now, and I'm like, I don't get it. So I stuck with it just because. But yeah, this movie was so bad. And I don't know what else to say. So I don't really want to go into it more. But yes, this was a horrible movie. I don't know. The kills might be the only reason this won't stay in last. I'm
Hmm.
sure I'm going to watch something shittier than this because these are the kind of movies I do
I
watch.
hope not.
Oh, I do.
Don't do
I
this
do.
to
But I
yourself.
do. I do every now and then. Even when we worked at Blockbuster because we had the free
Oh
rentals,
God.
I would watch the good shit. But every now and then, I'm like, what is this? And I stick with it. Now, if this
You're
is
like, I'm
two
gonna
hours,
take a chance.
I take so many chances and that's why this list at the end of the year is going to be so fucking hilarious. But yes, I only chose the Soto because it was 90 minutes. I wanted something quick. I wanted a horror movie, but I wanted a bad horror movie, and this was bad, bad. Like this is just like, oh my god, bad. Um,
What does he
yes,
have? Like a gun or a
yeah.
vacuum
So he
or
gets dragged on the bed. He brings the gun. Obviously, it doesn't
that's a
work.
gun?
I think that, or could be. Yeah, it's some kind of flamethrower gun. I don't know. I kind of I
Cool.
will admit part of me was checking out after the kills because I'm like, this is great. Then it got shit again. The kills are the only good part about this. Like
And it
because
got shit again.
when they don't do things CGI, when they do things practically, I love that.
Yes. Oh,
And
dude, of course.
those kills were done in a way just like you jumped, you're like, damn. No matter what movie you saw it in, you're like, damn, that is good. They spent all their money on those 2 3 kills. Like you're like, holy shit. And
Yeah.
after that, you're like, oh yeah, no, these two kids are just whatever. So no, so I don't really want to talk too much more about this.
Okay.
Yes, this is going to end up towards the bottom of the list. Obviously, based on the first two films that I've seen already, this is number 3. And
You sure?
I am 100% sure. And trust me when I say this is probably going to be in the bottom 10 because I feel like I'm going to watch something that's going to be worse. And the kills are the
We're
only
gonna
thing.
have to track this.
We are. That's the whole point about this series. We are going to track how our movies go. But yes, this it was bad. I can't even say anymore. I'm going to go to the next movie. So my fourth and final movie. I think I just watched this a few days ago. Again, I was like, all right, let me scroll through, see what catches my eye. Because like you, it's like I got movies that I want to watch, but I'm kind of seeing things new. Things I
Hmm.
might not have heard of. And then I came across this movie, Soto. This movie called My Old Ass. And
Oh yeah.
first of all, the title alone is the reason I think I fucking have to do this. This is hilarious. Like I don't even know what this is about. For those who don't know, real quick, this basically it's a coming age story. She takes some mushrooms in the middle of the woods and in a weird way has a
Oh,
conversation with Aubrey Plaza, who's her 39-year-old self. And the whole idea is what would
what?
so yes.
It's not a bad premise.
No, and I will tell you
I'm
so
intrigued.
it is. And so she's kind of like, she's moving out. Her parents own a cranberry farm. And I'm not going to get too into it because I think you might check this out. But, um, but yeah, so she wants to ask, herself, what life is like. And in a weird way, because it is really her, she's trying to tell her young self to do certain things to stay away. Like, I don't want to tell you too much because you might change things.
Sure,
I don't
yeah.
know. Because she's getting high and as her future self, and somehow they're meeting. So again, I don't want to get into it, but that's pretty much the premise. This 18-year-old
That's
girl
kind of cool.
is getting high, takes mushrooms in the middle of the woods with her friends, and sees herself. And the weird part is Aubrey Plaza. Like I was like, oh, I love her. I loved her as Death and the Agatha all along. She intrigues me. But yeah, so I don't want to get too much into it. But yes, in a weird way, there's weird conversations. I will. I don't want to say too much. The ending is a little weird, but I feel like this is the kind of movie that they could not end properly, because you're intrigued by the premise. But if you
Great
think,
idea, but
but
okay,
because
yep.
the premise is there, like I said, I was like, okay,
Premise is 100% there.
and I'm like, I'm liking this. But when you get into things like that, it's kind of hard to tell a story that's not an, like, if this was just an all out like Seth Rogen comedy, yeah, who gives a shit? But there's actually some hearts of this, and I think this young actress, I'm looking at her name right now, Maisie Stella, like she was
Hmm.
amazing. The young cast is amazing in this, and I think that's why this works. And there's actually a good story to it. And I was like, okay,
Wow.
I was not expecting to watch a coming of age story of an 18-year-old girl. I just expect, I'm laughing. I'm like, this is called My Old Ass. I got to watch this. But so I
Resonated.
did enjoy it. But the ending, like I said, I
Wow.
won't give it away. It was,
Sure.
it was all right. But I have a lot of questions about it. I don't think it fits kind of the rest of the movie, and so
Yeah.
I do think you should check this out for Aubrey Plaza and just the premise alone. But yes,
Hmm.
she Jason takes some mushrooms, and that's about it. So,
I've
uh,
been there. I've been there.
have you talking to your older self though?
Not like this, but sometimes it kind of feels like it. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And we'll talk about shrooms in another episode. But as soon as you're like shrooms and talking to their older self, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be
it
good.
is, and like I said, it is actually a very good film. Um, I just, like I said, there's parts of it when you start kind of questioning it, because again, I kind of said this with Under My Bed, like
No, it makes
when you
sense.
stick with rules or when you make
Hmm.
rules, up, stick with them. Whether no matter how
Yes.
absurd, that's your premise for the rest of the film. Please stick with them, because when you go away,
Yeah.
it does not make sense. And so there's a couple parts I'm like, okay, and I still have questions about, but I did enjoy this Soto. Where I rank this is a different question. Obviously, I rank this higher than Under the Bed, but I do put this under Clerks 3. Still a good film.
Wow.
I don't know where it'll be at the end of this year,
Hmm.
but as of right now, this is kind of where my first four movies kind of lay. So, yeah,
Four movies.
four. I somehow saw four movies. So I
You've
don't know if I'm.
quadrupled your output from last year
No, we
in the
saw some
first
new
2 days.
movies. I Yes, but yeah. So those are my four. Your two. Definitely an interesting six movies to start our first episode with.
Yeah, a lot of
It,
hours there.
a lot of hours, but I think we watched the same amount of hours of movies. To be honest with you, if you
if you
really think about it.
if you do the math, yeah, probably. Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
watched
I've
like fucking
doubled
like
you on.
7 hours of movies.
I will admit, I had the quantity, but you probably had the quality. If we're being
I
honest
didn't
about.
mean to.
No,
I
no,
didn't
it's okay.
fucking mean
It's
to.
okay that you
Like I
didn't
just
mean
was
to.
like, I haven't seen Oppenheimer. I was like, I should get around to watching this, and I watched it, and I was like, all right, don't have to watch that again. And I was like, oh shit, Lawrence of Arabia. You know what? It's been a long time since I've seen an old movie. It's 4 hours long. I guess I'm fucked. So, I don't think that I'm going to continue going down this route. I think I'm going to be like around 2.5 hours, 2 hours, work my way back to that sweet spot. But I think that what I'm going to take away from this is that I want to check out more random movies because you're like, oh, Under the Bed, I'm going to watch that. I would never do that. So I think that I'm going to try to follow your suit and just be like, see something I've never seen that looks ridiculous and be like, I'm just going to watch this and then
Yep.
I'm going to give my opinion on it.
Just start scrolling, and like I said,
Take
create
a
some
chance.
guidelines, and that's what I did. I'm like, I need something 90 minutes. I didn't have much time. I had 2 hour time frame. I was like an hour and a half,
90
and
minutes.
I'm like, I
Yep.
don't need to watch anything, because I will admit, I'm not going to spoil it, but there's some movies I am going to be watching, but Jill wants to watch with me, so I'm going to wait
Hmm.
to watch it. But sometimes I'm
Of
just there by
course.
myself. I'm like, there's no chance in hell she cares about this film. So, but yes, I think that's the fun part about this challenge. It's because yes, we are going to watch some of the classics. We are going to watch some good films, and for me, the
Yes.
shit, because I love watching some of the cheesy shit, and I hope that you turn to gold. Under the Bed, not gold. It is going to stay. I guarantee you, Soto, it will be in the bottom 10 somehow at the end of this. Bottom 5, maybe. But I know me personally, and I know I tend to watch some shitty movies just because
Hmm.
that's the way I am. I'm like, let me just take the chance on this. Is it good? Is it not? But yes, I am very happy to
Yeah.
see to discover Jim Henson's Idea Man. I know clue this movie existed. That's probably the highlight of the four that I saw. Like I said, it was
Hmm.
very nostalgic for me. So, uh, but Shoto, that ends our first episode of the 200 movie challenge.
Whew.
So
All year long, man.
all
It's gonna be
year we're going to
longer
do
than
this
anything
every
we've done.
episode. If you lasted this long, please let us know what you thought of any of these 6 movies and give us any suggestions of movies. Now, remember, it has to be movies that we have not seen. So,
Mhm.
you know, if I see any movies in the comments, I might check them out. You know, I might check out another bad movie if someone comments it. But
Mhm.
until next time, I don't know when our second episode will be because this will probably be every 2 to 3 weeks, you know, once we kind of have time to watch movies. But
Mhm.
so, outside of watching random movies, is there any other final thoughts for our 200 movie challenge?
No, I'm excited. Again, I'm happy to have had this epiphany where I can be like, I'm gonna pick something bullshit on Tubi or Amazon Prime and fucking watch it. And I think that that'll add some nice chaos to it. Because to your point, you're right. It's like you can watch the good stuff. Of course, everyone knows the good stuff is the good stuff. But what if you find something that nobody's just talking about that's so random? Or what if it's terrible? Either way, it's gonna be fine.
And we're going to talk about that. No matter what, if we
And we're
watch
gonna
it,
talk
we're going to
about
talk about it. So until our second episode, you know, go watch the movies, you know, and make it a bad movie night.
it. Yeah.